Welcome everyone to our Alfasoft online demo day. And thank you for joining us for today's webinar. My name is Torgrim Sandvold, and I'm the product manager for statistics and data analysis tools here at the Norwegian office at Alfasoft. In the next webinar, we will be presenting NVivo, given by our very own NVivo expert, Marit Biszewski. But before we start, just a little housekeeping. If you have any questions during the presentation, please type them into the question box in the GoToWebinar panel on your right. We will try to answer them during the presentation, and we will also hopefully have time for questions at the end. You will all be muted during the presentation to avoid any audio problems. And please note that we will be recording this webinar, and both the recording and the question and answers from this session will be answered and made available to you afterwards. We will send you all an email with links to the recordings, the question and answer, and any related resources as soon as we have published them, hopefully by next week. With that, I will hand over the screen to you, Marit, so you can get started with your presentation. Let me see here.
Thank you. Okay.
There.
I think
now
you
I
should
can
see my screen.
See your screen. Yep, it's perfect. And your audio is also perfect.
Great. I hope
Marit,
it will stay that way. Yes.
Yeah. Just for your information, we also have our product manager for NVivo, Gustav, at our Gothenburg office, and also our NVivo expert from Sweden, Peter Maserat, will also be staying with us, answering questions in the back. Gustav also asked me to do a poll. When do you want to do it, Marit?
Maybe I can start first with a general introduction, and shall I just give you a go when I think it's suitable to run the poll?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Just give me a message when you want to run it, and I can launch it. Okay, great. Good luck with your presentation.
Thank you. Welcome everyone. I'm here in my home office in Bremen, and I want to preface with a short disclaimer. I think the November weather finally caught up, and I have a little bit of a cold, so I want to excuse or apologize in advance for any raspy voice or brain fog during potential brain fog, hopefully not during this presentation. But today I want to talk about how you can get new insights with NVivo when you do your qualitative data analysis. And I will start with a short presentation to just talk a little bit about what NVivo is used for and how you can use it as a research tool. And of course, then I will go into the software to show you the different data types that you can work with and how you can analyze your data in NVivo. I will also talk about two key items in NVivo, which are codes and cases. And throughout, I will show you ways of how you can explore and visualize your data. So those of you who are entirely new to NVivo is a software for qualitative data analysis. So it will help you to analyze any type of data like text-based data like interviews, open-ended questions and surveys, even literature, but also if you work with audio and video files or pictures, all of this type of data can be analyzed in NVivo in multiple ways. Now, throughout the research process, there are different steps, of course, or different phases that you will have. And actually, NVivo comes with a few add-on modules that you can also use throughout the process if needed. So from starting with collecting your data, there's an add-on that will help you to collect your data and import it into NVivo from Word, Excel, or Outlook. Then something that might be interesting for a lot of you is that there is that you have the opportunity to transcribe your data in NVivo as well. So if you work with interview transcripts and you have audio or video files, you can either transcribe them manually in NVivo, or if you want to, you can also subscribe to NVivo Transcription, which is an automated transcription tool that is very fast and works in 28 different languages. And it helps you to quickly create a transcript that you can then work on and import back into NVivo. That if we have time and if you have questions about this, I hope that I can quickly demo you how this looks like at the end of the session. Now, the main part of your analysis will probably happen in the NVivo software itself. This is the NVivo desktop version, and this is also what I will show you today. This is where you can import your files, organize everything, start your analysis, and then maybe visualize and or export your data. If you want to work in a team with NVivo, there's also different solutions for that. And I will tell you a little bit more about this later. So the processes in NVivo is rather straightforward. Basically, there are 3 or maybe 4 different steps that you need to do. First, you would, of course, collect your data and import it into NVivo. Then you can start organizing your data. Organizing in NVivo means something very simple like creating folders. That's maybe obvious to most of you, but organizing also means that you start creating, for instance, codes. So codes can be your themes or your concepts, anything that is relevant for your study that you want to capture in the data. And codes can help you to mark any any relevant quote for a specific theme, and I will show you how to do this. And of course, there are a lot of different tools that you can use to explore your data and share it then with others. NVivo supports a wide range of data, so you can import all sorts of file formats, starting from Word documents, which could be transcripts of interviews, or PDF files, maybe reports that you want to analyze. If you want to do a literature review in NVivo, you can also import from EndNote, Mendeley, RefWorks, Zotero, or Citavi. I don't have an icon for that, but Citavi is the newest addition here. And you can do your literature review in NVivo by, for instance, running text searches and just comparing the perspectives of different authors. And there will be a Citavi and NVivo presentation this afternoon at 3. So if you're curious and want to see more and learn more about this, definitely check out the program and join at 3. Okay, but you can also work with other types of data like surveys. So if some of you are doing a survey with open-ended questions, the idea here is that you bring in the survey into NVivo to be able to go over the open-ended questions and, you know, really take a closer look at the answers from the different people. And you can directly import from SurveyMonkey or Qualtrics, or you could also use Excel. You can also bring in data from social media. So if any one of you is interested in analyzing YouTube, Twitter, or Facebook data, this is also something that is possible. And there's a free add-on for your Chrome browser that you can use to capture data from the internet and easily import it back into NVivo. This is just like a preview of what could be possible for you in NVivo. If you like visualizations, this might be appealing for you, but there are just different ways of how you can dive into your data to visualize what relations you have in your data, how things are coded, and of course I will show you some of this in our demo part. Now, maybe one more word about NVivo Transcription if you are curious which languages are supported. So in NVivo Transcription, which is this automated transcription tool, an extra module that you can purchase if you like, it's available in 28 languages. So the idea is that you, of course, have your audio and video file, and you can upload it to the NVivo Transcription platform. and there you choose the language that you want to transcribe in, the language that your audio is in. And usually it's pretty fast. So if you have a 60-minute audio file, it should be back in 30 minutes, and then you can just go into the transcript and edit it a little bit, add speaker names and so on. Regarding teamwork, it's of course also possible to work in a team. Those of you who are more experienced with qualitative research, you probably know the struggles of how to combine the work of different researchers that are analyzing the same set of data and dividing tasks, etc. And of course, it's also possible to combine the work of several people with NVivo. There are different options for that. The first option would just be to work with standalone projects. So if you have your NVivo project, one of you would be the project leader, and of course you would agree on the main structure of the NVivo project, then share it with others. Each one of you, each team member does their work, and then you can merge the project files together again. So this is something that you can do. If you think about how do I share my project file, is this safe? How do I assign someone to have a role in my project? In that case, you would use the collaboration cloud. So the collaboration cloud is a module that helps you with exactly that questions. It's a cloud-based collaboration. Again, one of you would be the project leader. This person can upload the main file, invite other members to the cloud and share the project with them in a safe environment, and it would be a download-upload process. Now, if there are some of you who are maybe working in bigger teams with bigger or larger projects, then you might also be interested in looking into the collaboration server, which is a server-based option that allows for simultaneous collaboration. Okay. But I think it's time to actually look into NVivo so that you can get an idea of what it is all about.
Sorry, Marit, should we take the poll before you start?
Oh, yes, great. Thank you. Yeah, let's maybe take the poll before we jump into the demo part.
Yeah, I'd launch it right now. So please, if you can answer which version of NVivo you are using right now, that would be. So I just take this quick, so 5 more seconds maybe. What I can see from the answers, your attendees merit, is that about 20% are using the latest version, and 20% are using NVivo 12 or older, and the rest, 60%, are new to NVivo. So, okay, I think I close it. There you go. Now you're back, Marit.
Okay, thank you. Well,
so,
that is really good to know.
So you have a lot of new users.
Yes, okay, so I will try and take it step by step. Maybe those who are using NVivo already, they might also know me from my trainings or webinars. But those of you who are new, that's good to know. I will try and start from the very beginning. So what you see here is the NVivo start screen. As you can see, you have some help tools that you can access right from the start screen. In the new NVivo, you will also be asked to create an account to activate your license, but you can see that I'm currently not logged in. So the only reason why you would log in is to activate a new license that you have, or if you want to, for instance, access the Collaboration Cloud project. So sorry, if someone invited me to a Collaboration Cloud project, I would have to log into my correct profile or account that is, associated with this project, and then I would be able to open the Collaboration Cloud platform from here and review what's in there, and then download the project file from here. But as you can see, I'm currently logged out. If you want to start creating a new project, this is where you click. This is the white box here. But I will make my life a little bit easier for this demonstration, and I will use a sample project that you can always access. I just click on it and it creates a new copy for you, because this way we have a lot of data that we can work with without me having to put too much effort into it. So there's a little tour that I will skip. Okay, so this is how a project can look like when there's already data in it. As you can see, we have these three bigger groups. We have the import, organize, and explore part on our navigation view, which is the blue part here. And we can see that there are already some files that have been imported. Now, if you're wondering, well, I'm new to NVivo, where would I start? I think most commonly, people would start by first going to where it says data and files and maybe doing a right click here to create a folder. And then once you have your folders, you can go to the import tab, which is the third tab here. And you can see that there are many different options for what you can import. Now, maybe I want to start with the simplest one. Oh, I'm sorry, my voice is raspy. Okay, so under the import tab, you find different ways of how you can import files. So if you just have text files or PDFs or pictures, you would go to this little drawer icon here and can select the file that you want to import. If you have a bit more complex data, like a survey or your bibliography from one of the reference management software, you will have to, bring in these files in a specific format first of all, but there will also be like a little wizard that helps you to import everything in the correct way. But for just regular files like PDF files, Word documents, etc., just go to the drawer symbol. Something that might be interesting for you is this one here, the encapture. So those of you who are working with data from the internet, like web pages or social media data, this is the dialog box that you would see if you have captured something before, and you would get a list of everything that you have captured previously. Let me just see if I can show you how this would actually look like. On the Mac, it's always hiding somewhere. No, I cannot find it. Here we go. so this is the list of pages that I have captured previously. It comes with the date and also the link, and we all know data on the internet changes really fast, so it's good that you kind of get a timestamp on when this has been captured. And then I could import this as PDF files, or for Twitter or Facebook, you can also capture things as data sets. Okay, and if you are maybe a bit more advanced, or you are thinking about, combining the work of several members in one project, you would import actually the projects into another. This is why you find under import, you find the project symbol here. This is how you combine the work of several people, by importing one project into the other. Okay, but let's have a look at the data that we have here. So I will go to my interview folder. And you can see that there are some files imported here. You also get a little icon that shows you what type of document we're looking at. So we have some regular documents, but we also have some audio and video files. And I want to open this file here, which is a transcript of an interview with a couple, Maria and Daniel, and they have been interviewed by Elizabeth. Now, there's different ways of how you can start, but I want to show you something that I think is fun. So if you work with text-based data, at any point in time, you can run lexical queries. Lexical queries work, of course, with the text of your data. And if we want to, right in the beginning, explore Maria and Daniel's interview a little bit by maybe asking, okay, what are the most frequently used words in their transcript? We can simply run a word frequency query by just doing a right click, going to visualize and word cloud. So NVivo will go over the document and analyze which the most frequently used words are and produce a word cloud for me. This way I can visually see which words are used the most. Sorry. Okay, so this is the word cloud that I get. I could use a different layout if I wanted to, but let's just take a closer look at what we have so far. So in the middle, we see a few terms or words that are in red, and they are a little bit bigger. So this means that those are the most frequently used ones. We see something like people, area, also community down here. And we can always, from the word cloud, already get a bit deeper into our data. So if you think, oh, interesting, they are talking about people here, let's just do a right click and open the preview to see how exactly they talk about or how they use the word people. So then I get a list with every time the word people was used in the transcript, and it gives me a little preview of 5 words before and after so that I can get an idea of how the word is used. I could also, now that I'm thinking, okay, people seems to be an important term for Daniel and Maria in their interview. Maybe it's a term or a word that is generally important in all of my interviews. Maybe more people have used it. So what I want to do next is I want to continue exploring and doing a text search query. So I will click on Explore, Text Search. I will type in the word people. And now your text search you could run for all the documents that you have, but you could also restrict your text search just to specific folders, for instance. So I want to select just my interview folder. Okay. And then I run the query and let's see in which interviews it pops up. I think the word people is mentioned in almost all interviews. I can sort it by reference here. So we see the word people a lot in Margaret's, Mary and James, Susan's interview. Again, we could have a little preview of how they talk about the word people by going to the right side here where it says references. And again, it would give me a little preview of how the word people is used. But what's more interesting is the visualization tools for me right now. So there is a word tree option again on the right side here that I can use. And it will create a word tree of the word that I've been looking for, people, in the middle. Look, it has a lot of branches. Can zoom in again. And it will create branches for whenever there is a word featured frequently before or after, sorry. And for instance, there's one branch that's called local. So local people seems to be a word combination that was quite common. So what I can do now is I could say, okay, I want to see what exactly they said about local people. So I do a double click on this branch and it will run a new query for me. As you can see, that is looking for the phrase local people. So this way, even though I have not done anything in my data except importing my files, I can already start investigating, starting to explore, either with something particular in mind, like, okay, I'm looking specifically for a word that I know should be relevant, or just, exploring more openly and then getting to the terms or words that are important for me. Okay, I want to show you another type of data, which is Helen's interview, which is an audio file, just so that you get an idea of how this could look like when you work with audio files. So when you work with audio and video files, what you can do is that you can create a transcript, either a verbatim transcript that you can import, either create in NVivo or import, as I said, from NVivo Transcription or another transcription service. But what I want to show you here is in the transcript, what you can see is that there are some blue and pink highlights. And that is something that we call annotations and see also links. Now, when you are analyzing your data, and especially in the beginning, it will be a lot of reading through your data, trying to make sense of it. And what you can do is at any point, you can take notes and you can also link pieces of data together. So this blue highlight that we see here actually marks that there is an annotation. So let's just see how this looks like. Up here, I can mark a box that actually then shows me the annotations that have been added to this piece of text. So whoever analyzed this data just made a comment on what was going on there. The pink highlight, and you can make annotations at any type of data. So whenever you have a thought or need to write something down, create an annotation. Another thing that we see here is something that's also quite interesting is the pink highlight. Pink highlights indicate that there is a see also link. So what is a see also link? A see also link helps you to connect pieces of data together. So out of some reason in this quote, something was interesting to the researchers and they wanted to link to a specific picture that they also have within their project. So as you can see here, I can see what other pieces of text this links to, and I can simply open to item, and it will take me to this picture that was linked to the specific piece of text. So this way you can really integrate your data in the whole project. Okay. Next data type that I want to show you is surveys. You might already be wondering why are we not talking about coding and cases? We will get to that. Okay, so this is how a survey looks like when you import it. So it looks very much like a general data set, right? So we have some, each row is one respondent, and then we have some columns. Now, what's interesting in NVivo is in NVivo for Windows, that when you import a survey, the correct way, if everything works, is set up correctly, it does a lot of interesting things for you. So if you have closed-ended questions in NVivo, or if you, in your survey, if you have collected any sort of demographic data, this can be imported into NVivo as well, and it will help you to understand and describe your cases. So everything that you see here that now has a gray background, these are the closed-ended questions from the survey. Now, everything that has a white background here are the open-ended questions, okay? Very short answers in this example, but nevertheless. Now, the open-ended questions are, of course, the thematic, the questions that you want to take a closer look into, that you want to read through and understand. And with these questions, of course, you can also code them, okay? So here, they had a question that said the natural environment down east is, and then the survey respondents had to fill it out. And one said, oh, it's a peaceful, beautiful scenery. It's good, beautiful. Some say it's there's pollution going on. So what you could do is you could, of course, take this piece of text and either make an annotation like I just said, or you start coding it. And coding means that you create a list of codes, which could be your categories, your themes, your concepts, anything that is relevant for your research. And also anything that fits for the method that you're using. And then if you find a piece of text, for instance, that is, talking about pollution, etc., you could code it maybe with a code that you have created that's called environmental impacts or something. How do you do this? Just take a piece of text, do a right click, code selection. And then from the codes that you already have created, you can just select the code that you want to code to. Interesting. You can also code to several codes at the same time if that is fitting. Okay, we will talk a little bit more about coding, but I want to show you what the closed-ended questions actually tell us. So I can also review, maybe I go in this one. I can also review each respondent not in the data set, but instead I can review it in this form. So I get their open-ended questions, but at the same time I can easily see like the closed-ended questions here. For instance, we have some demographics. This person was female, age 51, etc. And again, here I could also code. So in this answer, they are talking about ecotourism, and maybe I'm thinking, oh, I want to code this to ecotourism. But when I look for my code tourism, I realize, oh, okay, I have a code for tourism, but I do not have a code for ecotourism yet. This is not a problem because at any point I can always create new codes. So if I click here first and then choose create new, I can simply create a new code for ecotourism. And there we go. Now this information in the I used the survey example because I think it's so so easy to understand that, okay, these answers are connected to this specific person with these specific attributes, okay? And since we imported the survey contained all the information, it's quite clear that we can see a connection. Okay, these answers came from this this person. But of course, we want to know, okay, where are these attributes stored and what can we do with them later on? So for each respondent of my survey, there was actually a case created when importing the survey. Okay, here we go. What is a case and what do we use it for? A case, and maybe I show you with the interview participants because the list is shorter. So a case basically holds all information that belongs to one of your units of analysis. Your units of analysis could be your interview participants, they could be survey respondents, but they could also be anything that is not a person. It could be an organization, it could be a company, anything that is in the focus of your analysis. It depends a little bit on your project setup. But basically what cases do for you in NVivo, and this is why I like the suitcase symbol here, they kind of collect or hold all the files and all the comments that come from one person, and you can on top of that also assign attributes to this person. So just like we saw here in this example from the survey, we might add gender, age, anything that we have collected. And the way this looks is maybe a little bit like this. So for Barbara, we see that we have some information collected about her age, gender, the community and township she's coming from. Or here is our survey respondent. Again, the same. Is it the same one? Again, the age group, and so on and so forth. So you might be wondering, why are we doing this? The reason why you would want to create cases and assign attributes in your project is to be able to later run very specific queries, right? So remember, a lot of what you will do in NVivo is to code your data, to mark where people said something about environmental impacts and so on and so forth. But maybe going through all the coded material and trying to make sense of it. Look at this here. We have in total over 300 coded references for a natural environment. Of course, you can just open it and review everything that you've coded, but maybe it makes sense to look at just a specific group at a time. So maybe only people from a certain community. And this is why you would want to include your attributes that describe your cases as well. Okay, but speaking about reviewing codes, let's do that maybe. So here we are at this environmental impacts code again. We can see that we have 6 files with 27 references coded. You can also assign colors to your codes if you want. If you want to review what you have inside a code, you just do a double click. And it will open the code for you and show you all the quotes that you have from your different interviews, anything that you have coded. Here you see, for instance, that we have coding in different interviews, but we also have coding in a Twitter data set. You can always get a summary to see which files exactly are coded with this code if you're interested. Another way that you can see how things are coded, so this would be to go through the references and of course try and understand what exactly they said about environmental impacts. From here, what's interesting is that you can code on. So if you find another topic that they mention or another theme or concept, you can code on from here. You can also of course change the coding if you realize that it was not fitting. You can always change it and adjust it to your needs. You can also make annotations, etc. Okay, when you are coding in a document, let me just show you here. When you are coding in a document, you might want to be able to see what you have coded and what you have not coded so far. So let me just quickly code this piece here to a new code. Oops. I wanted to call this one test. Does it still type? No, well, it doesn't matter. Okay, so if you want to see what you have coded in a document, you can switch on what we call the coding stripes. And it will show you all the parts that are coded in a document. You can also see if things are overlapping. Maybe for this document, I want to show what's coded the most. So I switch to most coding. And then we can see which parts of a document are coded with a code. So for instance, all of this has been coded to a code called local connection. So this can help you. And also if you click on a coding stripe, just like you saw, you can also highlight the parts in a document that are already coded. Another way that you can explore your codes and your coding a little bit is by using visual tools. So let me just show you how this could look like. I'm sticking with this one example about environmental impacts. So if I just do a right click on the code and go to visualize, I could create a chart. And this chart will show me which of my documents have the most coding to this code. So we see that in Thomas' interview, we have a percentage coverage of 12%. So based on the number of characters, 12% of Thomas's interview are covered with the code. And the rest is a little lower. And if I wanted to see, okay, but what did Thomas exactly say and what did I code there? Everything is interactive, so I can just do a double click on the bar and it will take me back to the document and highlight the part that is coded. So in a way, everything is connected. You can always go from the file to the code, from the code to the file, etc. It's all connected. Okay, I want to show you. I'm just looking at my list, what else I wanted to show you. So there, one thing that you have to do in NVivo, of course, to stay on track with your analysis, or one thing that we recommend doing is writing notes. And you can write notes by using memos. Memos are you can imagine them as post-its that you can attach to a file or to a code, but you can also just have memos that are free floating and not linked to a specific item, and you can use them to write about the file, to write about the code, to start your interpretation, just to note down everything that is relevant for you. And in our list here, we see that for Ken, the interview Ken, there is actually a memo attached. We see this by because there's this little link symbol. And so if we want to open the memo link, we can see that it's basically just a text document where you can write anything that you want about the about this file. You have some editing tools that you can use, which can be really helpful because at some point, of course, you want to be able to write up a report or actually publish your work. So using memos as a way to create a text about your data is a really good way, and you have some editing tools. So if you were to export the memo, it would already be in the correct formatting if you used it. Another thing that I want to show you with Ken's interview is how you can explore a little bit the connections that you have in your project. So if I do a right click just on this file and go to visualize, you see I'm a big fan of all visual tools. There's one thing that is called the explore diagram. And the explore diagram I like using also in the beginning of your project, because the explore diagram gives you the opportunity to take a walk in your data, kind of, instead of just looking, at all these lists. You get the option to visually explore everything that you have done so far in your project. So here we have Ken's video file in the middle. We see that there is this memo attached from earlier. The memo, by the way, was about the circumstances of the interview, because there were a lot of noisy dogs in the background when they were recording it. So here you have the memo. All the circles that you see are the codes that have been used in this document. So there's coding to water quality and balance, etc. We also have this, oops, now I clicked on it. We also have this little suitcase symbol, which means that, of course, Ken's interview belongs to Ken's case. Okay, this is the case. This explore diagram is interactive, so if you find anything on it that you think is interesting, you can always open it. So the balance code here, if I just do a double click on it, it will open and it will show me anything that is coded to balance. We can also, in an explore diagram, change the focus. So we could also click on a code and choose change focus. So the next item would be in the middle. And if I'm now here in the balance code and I see all the documents that have coding to it. Now, one thing that I maybe want to show you about the balance code that I just opened from this diagram is that this one is quite interesting, because again, we see everything that has been coded, but you might be wondering, okay, why am I seeing numbers here? Why is there not text that has been coded? So the thing is that in NVivo, you can of course code text, but you can also code pictures, and you can also code on the audio of an audio or video file. So here, for instance, we have Betty and Paul's interview, which is a video file actually, and there has been coding to the code balance, but it has been on the video file itself. It hasn't been in the transcript. So if we want to watch what I have or what they have coded there, I can go to the video tab here and just click play. You might not be able to hear it, but you see that they are moving and nodding, and it will jump exactly to the part on the audio that has been coded to this code. Stop. Okay. All right. And I think I'm looking at the time. Maybe I will show you, just to finish off, I want to show you just to demonstrate a more advanced way to explore your coding and your cases and how everything in the end will tie together. So in this sample project, there are some queries. This is how they are called, that have been saved already. So I will go there and just show you one of the queries there. And for instance, there is a Crosstab query that has been created, and I will just maybe first open the query and then we can run it together. So the Crosstab query is one of the queries that you can really use really well if you want to explore your coding a little bit more. So for instance, here they have put several codes like agriculture, fishing, jobs and cost of living, tourism, and you want to not just look at everything, but you want to kind of, for instance, review specific groups. Here they want to, or cases. So here you can then select the attributes that you are interested in, that you of course first assigned. And then when you run the query, it will create a crosstab for you that you can review. Let me just see if I can maybe transpose this. So what we see here now is the different codes: agriculture, fishing, jobs and cost of living, etc. And the numbers in here represent the cases from the different groups. So we have the age group 30 to 39, 3 female to male participants, and here's how many people or how many cases said something about these different topics. So in a nutshell, what these types of more complex queries like the Crosstab query help you with is to take a look specifically at the answers or the coded references of one specific group of people. So for instance, here, if I want to know what in the age group 40 to 49, the female participants had said about fishing and aquaculture, I can just do a right click into the cell, get all the answers from people that fall into this category, read through it, write it down in a memo, and then I can go over the other groups. So instead of having to understand everything that everyone has said, maybe it will be interesting for me to see, okay, maybe there are specific age groups that have more to say or less. Why is that? That's a question that NVivo will not answer for you, but this is something that you might be able to answer once you have analyzed your data. Okay. I think with that, I would finish off the demo part. I want to make you aware that we have trainings coming up. I can also show you the website where you find all the trainings. But there are still, I think, 1 or 2 seats available next week's NVivo training. There are also other trainings upcoming and also Q&A sessions. So feel free to check that out. And I think I'm ready to take questions if there are any.
Well, there has been a lot of questions, but we have also responded to a lot of them. Peter and I have been writing a lot of responses both to the entire crowd and to specific people throughout the webinar. We did have a question about reference percentage coverage. If you could quickly explain what that, if you know how it's measured or what it means.
Yeah. This refers to the chart that I showed you. So in NVivo, let me just, no, I go here. So in NVivo, when you code in a document, this is what we call a reference. So anything that you code is called a reference. So if we look here in Charles's interview, we have 2 references coded under environmental impacts. And then you see these numbers here, which is the coverage or percentage coverage. This is just the percentage of how much, based on the total number of characters, is covered with this code or has been coded with this code. We all know when we work with qualitative data that quantifying it is always a little bit tricky. So if you code very finely or if you code very broadly, this number will obviously change. But this is the number that the charting tool is nevertheless using. So this is what you saw here. If I visualize this as a chart, it will the default setting will be that it uses the percentage coverage, which can of course be different for the different types of data. So we have to be a bit careful, but this is what it is. You can also change the data value though. If you don't want to use the percentage coverage, you can choose to display this graph with other data that you can choose from. Okay, any other questions?
I think we responded to most of them, and if we missed any of them, we will also send the answers with the recording. I think maybe you're also running out of time. There has been interest shown in NVivo Transcription, so if we do have a few minutes left, maybe you could quickly show how the transcription tool works.
Yeah, let me just see if I can move this to the correct window, because I'm working with two screens. Give me 1 second. Where is it? There we go. Okay. So this might be a bit small, but so this is how the NVivo Transcription, let me make this a bit bigger, platform looks like. So I have just a few transcription minutes remaining, but this is where you can see how many minutes you have. Everyone can sign up and get a 15-minute trial for free. So you just test it out. From here, you can upload your files. You can also send files from within NVivo, but you can also just drag and drop them or browse here. There's some info about the supported formats, so make sure that your file is in the correct format. Yeah, so, and then after you upload, which I did here, after you upload the file, you can select the language that the file is in. As I said, 28 languages are supported. This file here is in English, so I will select English, and then I could click transcribe. Another thing that is quite cool is the dictionary. So a dictionary, you can create a customized dictionary. Maybe you transcribe your first file and then you realize, oh, there are some words that are commonly misinterpreted by the software because it's a street name or a name of a person, and the software just doesn't get it right. So you can create a dictionary that features these words, and you can assign a desired transcription. I don't have a dictionary, but otherwise I would mark it here. I can just click transcribe, and this is very short, just 3 minutes, 3.5 minutes, so it should be back soon. But while this is doing its thing, we can maybe look at the dictionary tool. So as you can see here, you can add any term. Here they have an example of St. Hugh Street. That could be, sounds like St. Hugh Street. So if there's any words that you would like to add to the dictionary, you can do that. What else do we have? Now this is still doing its thing. I have some older files that are still sitting here, so maybe we can open the transcript for those. So this is how the transcript can look like once it's ready. I get a little warning here that the media file of this transcript has already been deleted. The reason for that is if you the cloud is not the place where you actually store your files. You upload it and it's all encrypted, but of course it's not the place where you want to have your audio and video files that are sensitive data sitting forever. So if you don't touch a transcript, the media file will be deleted after 90 days, and I think this is what happened here. But other than that, you can always work on the transcript. You can assign speaker names. You can, if the media file is still here, listen to it, make changes. You have some find and replace, save and undo options, and of course you want to also export the file. Okay, now I get the info that my transcript is ready. So here's how it would look like. I would now maybe play it. I don't think that you are able to hear it. You can adjust the play speed. You get a little orange bar that shows you where in the transcript you are. And then from here, you could go ahead and change anything that you want to change and adjust and write down the speaker names. That was very brief, but I hope that gave you an impression of how it works.
Thank you, Marit, for the great demonstration and presentation. I think we will have to switch to the next webinar,
Yes.
Article Galaxy. So yeah, you have 5 minutes, all the attendees, and you are welcome to stay, of course, for the next webinar, Article Galaxy. So have a cup of coffee and be back. I will switch to the next webinar in a few seconds. I just, again, thank you, Marit, and also thank you, Gustav, our product manager in Sweden, and also to our product expert, Peter, in Sweden, for doing the questions. Yeah, and see you back. And get well, Marit. We need you tomorrow on our German.
I know. I will continue drinking tea. Thank you.
Yeah, have a warm cup of tea and a warm
you.
blanket. Okay, see you.